We're live. We're live on the
We are
internet.
live. Okay. So, okay, you go. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Me? Am I going to be the first person to speak on this podcast? Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody to podcast number 1. This is my good friend Abhi, who I've known now for, this would be the 4th year that I've known you for. Abhi is one of the very first people I met once I left the engineering world and came across this digital world. We met each other in a forum of people that are doing a very similar thing to us, looking to expand their careers in the digital marketing space. And back then, I was very fresh. I didn't know anything. And Abhi said hello to me, or I said hello to you. I can't remember, mate. And then you started talking about a few things, and he tells me that he's done MBAs, he's done all this other stuff. And I'm like, hang on, man, who is this guy? And he really tickled my interest. So since then, we've been bouncing ideas off of each other. We've been on a couple of little ventures, as in business ventures, I should say. We haven't met in person, which is quite funny. We've just been speaking to each other over the internet for a few years. And we've developed this really, really great friendship, I think, a really prosperous friendship where we're both just trying to help each other out and become the best people we can be. How did I go, Abhi? Did I get it right? What was your first memory of meeting me? I think it was that Discord message, wasn't it?
Um, it was a message on Zoom call, I believe, because
Zoom.
yeah, we were on a community call, and the call was about me cracking my first client after buying the course in just 10 days time.
That's right. Yeah, that's
And
right.
you were already making YouTube videos back then, and you texted me saying congratulations, and we would like to see how you progress ahead in your journey. That was just the beginning of my freelance after buying the course, and that's how we first started knowing each other. And I was like, this is interesting, meeting people from different geographies and kind of learning their experiences is interesting. So I was really curious to know a lot of people in the community. You're one of the old people. By old, I mean with time spent in the community. You're one of the old members in the community, and I was like, I want to know who these guys are. How did they start? And is there something that I can replicate and follow into their footsteps? And that's when my curiosity hit. And I was like, okay, let's go ahead. Let's know these people. And I was excited already because I was in Africa. And for the first time in my life, I was living abroad for a long time. And I already met tons of people from different nationalities over there, and that taught me that there's a lot of things that I don't know about the world, and I need to know people from other backgrounds. And that's why I was really open to get to know you and others in the community. And I think that experience taught me a lot.
Yeah, man. And I think I was probably the only Australian in that community at that time as well.
Yeah,
So you
yeah.
were probably like, who's this kangaroo hopping guy? Hey, look, I've got a kangaroo back here. Oh, yeah, and you're right. And I think the way that you were very open and just wanting to develop friendships and relationships was the reason that I was really keen on chatting with you as well. And I think at least in my opinion, this, when we say community, I think we both mean the digital marketing community. And we'll maybe talk about the actual specific place of where we met in a tick. But I think people that are in the digital marketing space are that type of person. They are those type of people who are really wanting to sort of broaden their horizons, even outside of the country. Like you and I are talking to each other now from thousands of kilometers away, and it's a really cool feeling knowing that. Continuing to move down this path, I think, really, really broadens your horizons and allows you to really yeah, make these great relationships with people from all over the planet who are like-minded, who are open-minded, who are keen to do the same sort of thing. Avi, how long have you been in, let's call it the digital marketing space? How long have you been in this space for now?
This question has always confused me with my answer because I I actually started doing digital marketing things, researching in 2018, and 2019 was the period when I started applying my knowledge and skills, watching YouTube videos at the side, and actually doing it full time. It has been more than 3 to 4 years now. Like doing it completely full time, 3 years, I believe.
3 years.
And yeah, and God, I'm lucky. I'm lucky to be in this space.
You consider yourself lucky? Go on, tell me. I want to
Yeah.
know why you feel lucky.
Okay, so if you talk about careers in India, degree really do not matter as long as you're doing what your boss is telling you,
Right.
what the company needs from you. Even if you're an MBA in marketing specialization and whatever, you will hardly get any marketing jobs as a fresher in the market. You will start with a sales career. That's what I did. I started with a sales career myself. First job was on a bike, and second job I was a manager. I was working with Tata Motors Finance in Mumbai, one of the biggest cities in India. And the reason I consider myself lucky is there were a lot of issues I was having in a 9 to 5 kind of life. And trust me, it's 9 to 5 just for the sake of it. You go in 9, but you don't know when you're going to come back home, right? It may be 8, it may be 9, it may be 10.
Yeah.
So it's not 8 hours of job, it's more than that. And being into sales, the accounting books are important. So when the month end is closing, you are working harder to chase your targets and complete those targets so that you get that incentive bonus and you are in the company safe and sound. So spending more than 3 years in this career of sales, I was like, there are a lot of things that I'm missing out. The first time ever I traveled to an international place, Dubai, that's when I realized I have to change things in my life. I've spoken about this incident in my last video. If people want to check about it, I'll just be very brief about it. So, Dubai actually burst my fish tank kind of thought, like a small fish in a small fish tank. Instead, I wanted to become a fish in the ocean. So one of the biggest things that I learned was it's not important how much money I'm making. It's important how am I making that money, because that defines my lifestyle, that defines my everyday life, that defines my routine, and that defines how much freedom I have in making decisions of in my personal life. So why I consider myself lucky again: remote capability in digital marketing, unlimited potential to earn money if you're a freelancer or an agency owner. And the third one is freedom to choose when do you want to work, from where do you want to work. No one else will define how you want to work. For example, next week I'm traveling to my in-laws place and I'll be there for a week or maybe 10 days, and I don't have to get permission from my boss or from my clients to travel there. So that kind of life I used to dream, but I never knew if I would be able to achieve or not. But those dreams landed me here today. So yeah, we are lucky to be in such a space where you're remote capable and where you can decide things for yourself.
I'm glad you said that because that's basically exactly what I thought. And I think the thing that sticks out the most for me is that freedom. You know, whenever you're going into a new career path, let's say, especially people that might be listening to this and they're thinking, how do I even get into this space? How was it? At the start, you're probably not going to make millions of dollars, right? But that freedom aspect and you being in control of not only when you work and when you do these other things, you being in control of the time that you allow yourself to develop these skills, I think is crazy. I think it's such an advantage to have. And I have friends who like you said, it's 9 to 5, but they're working like 7 till 8 at night, and after that they can't be bothered doing anything. They haven't had time to do any exercise. They don't have time to do anything outside of their work, and they can't really progress in life, especially if they're the type of people who'd like to progress in something else. And I think we are really fortunate, really lucky that we made the move at the time we did. I think the timing was really, really cool. Like, in a sense of how things were just changing so much, we jumped in and we were sort of swimming around with everybody trying to do it. but we're so lucky to be in this position, and I think that there are so many opportunities in this, particularly with AI and all these crazy new concepts that are coming out, that um, we have the freedom, we have all those things, but we get to be on the leading edge, and we have the time to be able to spend on those things. So, man, we're super lucky, aren't we?
We are, and I believe that right now, I'm glad you mentioned AI because right now a lot of things are changing. I recently learned the hard way that we have to keep on the curve, on the cutting edge of technology, and know the latest trends because we can be replaced in a few things, if not the whole career itself. Because I recently lost one of my clients because of AI, and the things that I was doing for some good money, those things got cheaper thanks to a few AI tools. And I believe if I knew those things a little bit earlier, I would still have that plan and I would be able to convince that, okay, we have another way of doing things. So, yes, we are lucky, but I think we are saying this repeatedly that we are lucky. I think most of the times it's because of our efforts that we make our own luck.
Yes.
If I talk about few of my people that I know in my network, I think they are smarter than me. I think they have more potential than I have, and the only thing that they do not have is the risk-taking ability, because of which they are still stuck at the place where they don't want to be at, and they don't like to be there. And because of this AI revolution, I've seen in so many YouTube videos, and I kind of tend to agree that it is going to reset a lot of things for a lot of people, even if you are in this space for a long time or you are still a new person in this space. You are still going to get an equal chance because even the people in this space already for a few years are not aware of what's going to happen. So we are all on the same page right now. If someone wants to take make use of this opportunity or take a leap of faith and get into this AI revolution, so yes, I believe things are changing. And to be honest, I would like to talk more about this topic in the future as to what kind of AI services we can get into, what kind of clients we can work with in terms of AI services. So yeah, that's my take on the AI thing, and I believe I would like to encourage a lot of people I know to get into it now. Now it's a good time. To 2023 is a good time, and maybe by next year or 2025, it will again be like, oh, it's too late. People already know a lot of about this. I'm behind competition. So yeah, it's hot right now, a hot topic. It's a good trend. Get into it, learn things, and get in touch with people like me and people like Dean who already know a lot of things that you might not know of, and we know where you can learn certain things.
Yeah, I think it's a great time to get into it. I think you hit the nail on the head there, where you said that it's all coming in. So we're all essentially starting at the same start line. It's all happening right now. So it's not like a big majority of people have a big advantage, let's say, because they've been using AI for a decade. Nobody's been using AI for a decade. Most people that are in this space who have been really prudent about it and been on top of it have maybe using it maybe 12 months. It's so recent now. We're at 6th of August, right? We're halfway through 2023. If I think about back to this time last year, I don't think I really heard almost anything about AI. It was really, really primitive stuff. I don't even think ChatGPT was in our vocabulary. Now everybody knows about it. It's still so young, and it's still so exciting as well, because I don't know about you, but like I'll just see something on YouTube, and it will say AI how to do such and such, such and such, and I think back, man, 3 months ago, it would take me 2 days to do this, and now with the help of AI, I can do it in 4 hours. It's just crazy. Every week, it's just changing and ever evolving, and as it gets more powerful, I presume it's only going to evolve faster. So, if you are thinking about jumping into the whole digital space, um, I think it's a great time, especially now with AI where it is. But I think it's still a really valid time to jump in if you're thinking about doing something digital, whether or not that is a digital market or getting yourself online more or whatever. It's still a good time to do that. I still think this whole digital space is still relatively are young. So, if we think about what digital marketing has been in the last decade, I think if you look back a decade ago to maybe 2012, 2013, Facebook was barely emerging. Facebook ads were like not even a thing. It was basically a website, you had some SEO, and you were doing maybe some email marketing. There wasn't all that much going on, a video here and there. And now, if you're a any business that does anything really, a service-based business, a product, whatever, you need to have everything on point. You need to have a website that's on point. You need to make sure the SEO is good. You need to have content all the time. That's photo and video, long, short form content, emails. You need to have all this stuff going on at the same time now. And I just think that, if somebody's wanting to jump in and think about jumping into this digital space, the longer you wait, the more of this stuff is going to get bigger and bigger and have, I guess, more complexities. And the longer you wait to jump in, I think you're just going to have to learn a bit more. What's your opinion on that, Abhi?
Yeah, I agree. I tend to agree, and it's an amazing point that you are talking about. The longer we wait, the harder it seems, the more overwhelming it seems to someone who is just thinking about it but was unable to take action for some or the other reason. And if I compare this with with the current situation, the scenario that we have in 2023 with AI, maybe in 5 years' time, there will not be an opportunity like this, which will kind of give people a chance to reset everything. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
10 years
yeah,
ago, no one knew how Facebook ads were operated. Maybe 12 years ago, right?
sure.
We had not had a word called as Facebook ads in our mind. Now that we people a year ago did not know about Chat GPT. Some people in the tech background, tech industry knew about GPT as an engine, but Chat GPT was a new concept altogether. Now these chatbots are coming up with AI capabilities. So the point that I'm trying to make over here is these opportunities maybe come once in a decade or once in 2 decades. And this is one of those years where you have that opportunity, that chance to take a leap of faith and take action. And maybe they'll get such a chance another after another 10 years. And in the next 10 years, in these people's life, a lot of things will change. Maybe some people are already married, they'll have kids. Maybe some people will get married and have kids. And your responsibilities will never go low. They'll never go like, oh, next year I'll have less responsibility. No, it doesn't happen that way. You will always start having more and more responsibilities, and your risk taking appetite will keep getting low and low every year. So the more you wait, the more difficult it seems. I agree with your point.
Yeah, it's I say that, and I think it's going to get, let's maybe not say more difficult. I'm not sure if that's the right term, but I think it just becomes a bit more confusing, because with all of these, especially now with AI, a lot of the programs and things that we used to do a few years ago are kind of getting easier now. Like you have to click less buttons and things like that. You don't have to do so much thinking. It's more or less there for you to sort of figure out. But it will become more confusing because you just have an array of all these things that you have to know. I think digital marketing, what is that term? The T skill set, where you have maybe a whole broad range of things at the top that and you dive into one sort of thing. I feel like for digital marketers, you may have one sort of long T thing, but that top T is so wide. There are so many things that you have to know as a digital marketer, just so you can even talk to people. Like, for example, if you're helping out a small business and they want to get online with their website, not only do you need to know how to make that website, but you need to know, how is that going to connect with Google? Does that connect with their Google business profile? Does that even exist? Do they have any content? Do they have social pages? How are they all going to talk to each other? All these things that you kind of have to figure out as you go. And I think, although it can be confusing, like I said, and the longer we wait, it may become more confusing with things that are going on. I think the fact that there are so many things, and there are so many things going on like that you need to absorb and learn, do, and figure out how to do, that it makes it really fulfilling. At least for me, I really like that. I really like being on the leading edge. I really like knowing all these new things that are happening, and I really like having the time to be able to keep up with it. And as a digital marketer, that is essentially half your job, right? Staying on the leading edge, on that nice point to understand what's going on. And I think for people that like that sort of a thing, like helping people grow, like seeing their creation do something, I think it's a really fulfilling thing being in this space. And I think, at least in myself, I can see myself doing this forever. Before, in my previous career, let's say, even though it wasn't really that long, I couldn't really see myself doing it for decades like people would do usually. They graduate, work 40 years, whatever, and then retire. That I couldn't see it in my previous career. But now with this, the way that things change, the way things are evolved, it's always exciting. You're in this community, in this space with all these people that are all so excited, and we can work from anywhere, and you can help people grow and make money, help them make money, which helps you make money. And it's all really really exciting for me. And I think that also um, that also sort of comes back to showcase how much potential there is in this area. You're not restricted to working in your little workshop with a small team and you produce something for your city. You have the ability to connect with anybody on the planet and help anybody internationally anywhere. And I think that, if you can, like, what other industry has that much potential for growth? Some people might argue, oh, digital marketing has been here for 10 years. It's already grown to what it's going to be. There are so many people, I would say probably more from people that are a little bit older than us, that still have no idea about anything online. And all of those people are going to have their businesses sorted out. And I think that we're only on the very start of that exponential growth curve. We've already seen how much this industry has grown, but I don't think it's going to be stopping anytime soon. I think there is so much room for more growth, and when more of the people get into this industry and more smart people get into this industry that have different ideas, it's just going to evolve and just explode from there. It's exciting, man. I guess going back to what we said earlier, we're lucky to be free. We're lucky to do whatever, but we're also lucky to be in a pretty damn exciting career space, I would say.
I agree. And when you talk about saturation, you made a really good point that a lot of people older than us are not yet aware as to how do we connect these dots on the internet so that my business booms and my business kind of sees that growth that they imagine, which was easier without internet around 30 years ago. So if I talk about marketing in general, when we speak about saturation, marketing, I believe I read about this a few years ago when I was getting into this career right after my MBA. It goes way back somewhere around 1500 BC. Can you imagine? More than a few centuries ago. And we have not seen saturation just yet. The only things that change is the way you do marketing, but marketing never changes. You always need more people to know about you. The awareness is always something that we have to work on. And once people are aware about your business, there are new customers waiting for you, and those people need to know about you. It's never ending. And let's say the older people right now who would get retire, and those businesses will now be managed by their next generation. They also need help in marketing. They also need help with in terms of latest technology and internet. Even if they are more aware than the previous generation, it doesn't mean that they're going to do everything by themselves. So there's no saturation that I think there is to it, and a lot of businesses still need people's help in setting up things like these. And let's I would like to get into sort of Q&A kind of thing
Sure.
to kind of talk about uh, how people would get into this, right? Because now that we have talked about all the possibilities and introduced each other, I believe uh, for a new person, like one of my friends, still has a question like, but how do I get started? Like we have had several discussions with each other, but he still doesn't understand exactly how he has to get started. So if I talk about skills, what skills do you think a person who is not into digital marketing industry at all, how should he get started according to you in 2023? What skills would you recommend?
The thing that stands out to me is something that's not so precise as learning how to design a website or learning how to do whatever. The thing that stands out to me the most is how to sell your service of designing a website or doing whatever. I think sales is something that not only people that are getting into the digital marketing space should know. I think everybody should understand sales. I think knowing how to sell yourself, um, just to in general in life, is one of the probably the most important skill that you can learn. I think it really helps in a lot of ways. The thing that I would say after that, because I think you just always need to be looking at sales. You always need to be trying to practice this skill of selling yourself, reading into sales, listening to other people sell. I think you need to be doing that all the time. That's the first thing, number one. I think the second thing is going to be a harder thing for people to figure out because I think there are so many things that people can do, like we spoke about. It can be a little bit confusing. What I think that people should do when they're trying to get into this sort of a thing is look around your area, go around your local shops because that's your closest network. You're able to get there. You're able to talk to these people. Go and speak to them and ask them how they are finding customers. Go to your local retail shops and ask them, how are you generating leads? How are you doing this? What are you doing to find your customers? And you'll find some people will say, well, we have a website, and people fill out the website form and do whatever. And you might go to a restaurant and say, oh, we have our Google business profile where people sort of ring us up, make reservations or whatever. And you might have another one where they say, oh, we actually run ads. And I think going to your closest businesses, and I say this because you can literally get there easily, and figuring out what they need is probably the best place to start. Because I think one of the mistakes I made when I started was I just tried to learn everything at once. And I don't think that was a good idea. I think I learned, a little bit of web design, a little bit of this or whatever there, and I wasn't able to sort of put it together. But if you just start on one thing, like this business near my house needs this, I'm going to learn that skill. And once you finish that skill, you then move on to maybe next door's business, whatever they need to, and go from there. That gives you the momentum you need. And I think you need some momentum, especially if you haven't really been in this space before. And I think you need some momentum to keep you motivated. Now, how else can you find that sort of motivation? I think the most important thing in terms of motivation itself is finding a community, just like the community that we found each other in, because you're going to need support. This role is not the same as working in an office. It's not the same as working in other places. You're generally going to be on your own trying to figure it out. You're generally not going to have a boss. You don't really have that feedback that you probably had at another job that you've had before, where you had a manager like, hey, make sure we do this, make sure we do that, whatever. It's you making those decisions on your own. So I think having the momentum behind you of knowing that you're developing a skill that is in need right now of people close to you, that you can then ask for paid work later on, whatever, you might offer it for free. But secondly is finding a community where there are like-minded people there to support you, there to help you and answer questions and help you make your next step without maybe the level of doubt you might have in that early part of your career there. I think that's probably my two cents. What do you think about yourself, Matt?
That's a great answer. That's a great response. And I kind of relate with it when you said that you tried to learn everything and that was kind of a mistake. Um, I consider myself lucky in in this matter because when I had my full time job as a marketing manager back in Africa, I hardly knew a lot of things. And initially, my wife Aditi started teaching me basics of SEO. And because I was the only person in the marketing team, I had a lot of responsibilities, and it was a lot of overwhelming list of duties that I had on me. And that's when I thought I should learn how to do things. And because my wife was an SE expert, she covered up that aspect of it. But what about the rest of the things? And that's when I was already aware about Rich and Niche, and I found him on YouTube. and I got in
That
touch with him on Instagram.
that famous
And
beanie video, mate. I bet you
yeah,
you saw the same video.
yeah,
Yeah.
we all watched that same video, and I got in touch with him on Instagram. I told him who I am and where I come from, and it was a lucky timing for me because he was already looking for someone from Africa to give a great discount to, and voila, even if I was not born and raised in Africa, but I was still living there. And he gave me a good discount to get started with the course. And back then, it was not a master class, it was a set of small courses, which were then later on combined into master class. And that helped me to learn on the job. So I was learning over here and applying the same skills in my job. I was lucky that I was having a marketing job, unlike other people in the community who were still trying to get into marketing job from their other jobs that they already had. So yes, I think you were right when it comes to just getting started, because when I got that job, I knew a lot less than what I learned 6 months in the job. And if I thought that I should first learn and then explore opportunities, maybe a job or maybe my freelance client, I would have never got started because I would only think about it instead of taking action. And the second point that you talked about is how a community helps is whenever I was taking certain actions in my job to do something, I was always I was making informed decisions basically. So I used to go ahead, ask a certain question in the community, and either Rich or some other member would respond with their own experience, and I would then think of it, understand, and create my own version of answer for that question that I already had, and apply that in my job. So that's why I was really fast in learning things, applying those things, and getting ahead of myself in this industry. And yeah, I think I have a similar answer to yours in that case.
Yeah, man. I think the thing that stands out to me about what you just said then is the application. Like it's one thing to understand the theory of whatever you're trying to learn and whatever, but I think the application is arguably more important. And I think what's that saying? How does it go? Pro Perfection is the enemy of progression. I learned that pretty early on in this space, and I realized that you just need to try. You need to try and apply something. And I think that sort of comes back to what I was saying when I said try and find a business that's close to you so you can apply that thing. But having that community and being able to apply what you're learning, not only in the project that you might be working on or the place that you're managing, like when you're a marketing manager, but also within the community. Like something like Rich and Niche was really amazing because um, there was a channel that's still there that's just dedicated on questions, like these questions, like sort of like role play, where, hey, this is the client's position. They are wanting to do this. They are wanting to make X amount of money by doing this, this, and this. How would you approach that? And I'd never seen anything like this ever before, and it was amazing to have a place where all of the people that were talking about and trying to answer those questions were all people in your position who are trying to apply what they were learning. And it was just really what is the word I'm looking for here? It was unique because it was a place where anybody could answer in any way they wanted, and nobody would say that's a crap answer. Everybody would be sharing words of encouragement. It was a really safe and comfortable place, I think, is what I want to say, for you to learn and grow, which is not always the case. Like, I've worked in some places, and if you did something wrong or whatever, some people were really not nice about it. And whatever, sticks and stones break your bones. But I think that when you're, especially if you're younger, if you haven't worked in a place before and haven't dealt with that sort of a thing, and you're just trying to learn as best you can, having a comfortable place like that is a really great opportunity for you to grow quickly and ask more questions and develop quickly. And that was a really awesome part of the Rich and Niche community, I think.
Yeah, and more so, it is still the same. After all these
Exactly.
years, it's still as booming. People are still as active. And now that you see those people who used to answer your questions, they have already progressed a lot in their careers now
Yeah.
because of that
Um,
attitude.
how how many people were in the community when you joined? Because I'm pretty sure we were in like the top of the first like 70, 70. I think something like that. And now, how many are there? There's probably 1,000 people in there. There's so many
Yeah,
people in there. It's grown so much, and it's grown so quickly, and it's expanded so much. I just want to touch back on what you said before when you were talking about the first course you embarked on. It was called Full Stack Marketing Funnels, which was all about pretty much the most important and integral part of digital marketing is understanding how funnels work, how you funnel people in, and whatever. And that's how it all started. And now that whole area has turned into a masterclass. If you look at the masterclass and what's in that masterclass, here's full stack marketing funnels, but there's this, and there's like 12 different courses all smashed into one thing. And man, imagine if we had that when we first started. Imagine if the masterclass was the first thing you saw when you were really trying to get into this. My goodness, that would have
yeah.
just been.
And not only in terms of that, also the affordability that it has come to now compared to back in those days. Like these
Yeah,
days, courses charge you a few $1,000s at least, and that's why people hesitate to get into the space and learn new things. And now it has become so easy. Like, and when you mentioned the more than 1,000 members over there, um, even after that, it doesn't seem like overwhelming. You're not someone who is found in some random crowd. People will still know you if you're active. You'll still get the answers that you need for your questions. And when you mentioned it, it is a good space for me, it is a comfortable space for me to be in, where I meet people who are like minded, where I meet people who are in the same stage of journey where you are right now. And that is the place that you need, because in our environment where we live, our family, our friends, the other people and acquaintances that we meet every day, you might not find them to be encouraging about your new newfound venture, about your thought process of becoming a freelancer or getting into a job in this industry or becoming an agency owner. But this is that place where you find those people and help you out. I believe if you are from any part of the world and you get an opportunity to meet people from multiple nationalities, you should grab this opportunity. We were lucky that we were able to grab this opportunity. We took a leap of faith. And to be honest with you, I also said this to Rich when he offered me a discount. I was like, is this some sort of scam that I'm getting into? And I was like, should I really go ahead with this? I was having a conversation with my dad that, Papa, do I buy this course? It seems really great because this person on YouTube seems to know a lot about this industry. But when he offered me this generous discount, I was like, am I getting into the right thing? Is it really the same YouTuber that I was in touch with, or whose videos I was watching? But thank God that I did that. That small amount that I spent. The reason I say small amount now is because I've made tons of money thanks to that course and thanks to the pathway from there, and thanks to people like you who I've met internationally. Because of that community, I've worked with clients from US, worked with clients from Australia, worked with clients from Dubai, worked with clients from Africa, and of course India, because that's where I come from. And yes, Europe, that includes UK. And if you would have asked me these questions like 5 years ago, that if I can imagine myself working with international clients, I would probably not say yes. I would be really confused, not confident about it. And I would say, who would want to work with me? What do I have to offer to them? Now I can confidently say that no matter where you come from, I have a lot of things I can offer you.
yeah, man. It's I think I would have to agree with you with that point of just thinking, realizing that the sort of complete globalized way that this whole space is. I haven't really worked with as many international clients as you, although I have. Um, it is a strange but really cool feeling when you do develop that relationship with somebody somewhere else and you start helping them and they're like 10,000 kilometers away and you and you were able to help them by doing what? By picking this thing up here and tickling that a little bit and then clicking around on your mouse. You can help people live better lives, create money, make better businesses, help their businesses grow, help their families. And it's, yeah, man, it's a really cool thing. And again, absolutely thanks to for people that are listening to this, if they want to have a look at it, it's called Rich and Niche, the Rich and Niche Academy. If you Google Rich and Niche, it'll come up straight away. This is the community that we found each other through. It's the community where we bought a bunch of courses from that are now, as we said, the masterclass all compressed into one. This is the place that really accelerated my growth, because I found it pretty early in my journey, I must say. But once I did found it, it just, yeah, I just everything went from there. And like you said, you think, oh, am I going to pay a couple $100s for whatever? And then you get your first client and it just, you pay it off threefold. You're thinking, why didn't I do this earlier? What was I thinking? So I guess that might even be a little bit of a message to people that are listening to this, who might be younger or might be getting into this space. Invest in yourself. Investing in yourself, I think, is one of the just it's one of the best things you can do. Now, especially you and I have the time with our careers that we're in now, or people that are getting to this. You have time, you can shift, you have the freedom to do whatever you need to do. But being able to develop your skills, yeah, man, it just pays off. It just pays off so well, so well. I think it's one of the best things you can do.
I agree. So two things I want to touch on
Yes, mate.
before we end this call. And before I start with those two things, I really would like to thank you for your time. And the last point that you made, investing in yourself, I really, really want to push people to do that. Invest in yourself, not only in terms of spending money on courses or whatever, but also getting curious about yourself, getting curious about who you want to be 5 years down the line, and what kind of lifestyle you want to live. And eh, so the first thing that I want to talk about is when you mentioned just using a keyboard and mouse, clicking a few buttons, you are able to help people thousands of kilometers away, and seeing kind of a happy face when we are getting results. It's not always great results. Sometimes we don't get results. It's sometimes you get into arguments as well, but that's part of the journey. We all
Of
go
course.
through with it. And when the same clients after a few weeks say thanks, it's a great feeling. It's fulfillment that I've been looking forward to in my job, getting appreciation for what you're doing for them. And the funny part is, my father is not a really technical person, and when he found out, oh, is this the way you do your work? Is this the way you meet new people abroad? And oh, you're able to help them this way? When I actually tried to explain him in layman's terms, and in a very simple way, he was like, wow, this is interesting. I never thought this would be possible. And there are a lot of people out there whose parents might be like my father, who might not know the possibilities that we have now. And even if I talk about you and I, we are still really late into the space. This has started a lot earlier than when we started, and
Yeah.
it is a lot mature now. It's a lot easier now to get into doing things like these. And that covers up my first point. And the second point I would like to talk about is, when we do not have that risk appetite, and when we feel like we are the only one in this, we are alone in this, I would like to tell those people who are thinking like this that no, you're not alone in this. There are a lot of people who resonate with your thought process and your feelings. And I would like for you to just go out and open up yourself to the world. You will find like-minded people getting attracted to you. How would you go out? One is digital, one is physical. Physical, already Dean has mentioned, getting into businesses closer to you in your surroundings, in your vicinity. The other way is going out on LinkedIn, going out on Instagram, and actually getting started with your own thought process, sharing your thought process, telling people what you would like to do, and just kind of documenting your journey like we are doing right now. you know. And that's the way people will find you. People will get in touch with you. Will have amazing conversations like this one. I never imagined 5 years ago that I would find a person like Dean, and we would have such a great friendship. So yes, I would urge you to go out there, either physically or virtually, depending on your own interests, and just get started. You'll see a huge difference next year at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you've raised a really great point there. And I think it's compounding as well. So, you might start now and you might start documenting, bits and pieces, but as you keep going more and more and more and more, it has a great compounding effect. You know, say I'm a person who's wanting to buy a product and I go on somebody's Instagram page and I see that they've been posting for years about this sort of stuff. I know I trust him. He's been doing it for 2 years. I'm going to buy it. I have that. They have that authority, I think, there. But if you're just starting out, people might question it, whatever. The quicker you get over that hump, the quicker you start posting things. Even if you said something silly, it doesn't matter. Everybody starts somewhere. Everybody knows that you're starting from somewhere. Nobody's going to go back to your first video and put down a bad comment and say, this was crap. Why did you do this? No, people are humans. People are going to see that first video and go back and probably comment something like, holy shit, you've grown so much. Look at what you've done. So I think, and I need to do more of this. I'll be honest, I need to post a bit more, but documenting and posting and doing things like this, where we're talking about our careers as they progress, is a really great thing and a really good practice as well. Like, we're getting to practice how to talk. We're not really selling ourselves or anything like that, but we're just talking in front of a camera to each other, developing that vocabulary, which is a big part of sales. As you know, you need to know what you're doing, but you also need to be able to talk and present and move your hands around, body language and all that sort of stuff. So yeah. Now, before we go ahead, that last part where you're talking about your parents, when I left engineering, my dad's a mechanic. He's a pretty technical guy in that sort of a term, so he could understand what engineering was. When I told him what he was doing, he looked at me and just said, good luck. I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. And I must admit, I have spoken to him since and shown him a few bits and pieces. And mum and dad, I have to admit, mum's been pretty interested in what I'm doing. But they really don't know actually what I do. Like, I tell them what I do and whatever. But even when I explain to them, they're like, oh, okay, good luck with that. It's working. Great to see you. Now, I'm not saying this I'm not teasing my parents or anything like that. But I think it's important for people who are getting into this new and emerging space to understand that the previous generation doesn't know what the hell's going on. Just like us are probably not going to understand what's going on when our kids are looking at all their brand new emerging things. Now, if you're in digital marketing, maybe you will keep up with that because you're trying to keep on the leading edge. But there's going to become a point where you're just getting old and you don't understand what's going on. It's important for you to not rely on your parents' opinion all the time. Your parents raised you, whatever, right? They helped you get through a lot of things. They've been there through, I'm sure, some hard times and some great times. But I don't think you should take the advice from your parents about things that they don't really understand. I think that's an important point to think about here, an important point for people who are getting into that digital marketing space. Find a community. Maybe it is rich and niche, maybe it's whatever, but find people who are in your age bracket, in your sort of generation, who are talking about this stuff constantly, and speak to them and ask them what they think, why they're doing it. Get that information from them, because they are living that life. Your parents are probably not living that life. I think that's a really important point to make for people that are thinking about getting into this space.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. For a short span, I was lost because of the connection. But for whatever I have heard, I agree that we sometimes should not listen to what people do not understand about. I know our parents have great intentions for us,
Yeah.
but because of the lack of knowledge of what's happening in today's world, they might not be able to give you the best advice possible that you deserve, that you want to have. And for that reason, you need to find people who know about what's happening. And the second thing that in this scenario, like your parents had good intentions for you, you not only find people who are living in today's world, but also want to find people who have good intentions for you.
Yeah.
That's what I found in this community. That's
Yes.
you are one of them that I found. I get so much advice from you about how to do things, like this. When I was first starting up with my different setup for YouTube video in Africa, I had few questions for you, and you answered me a lot of things, and there was a lot of clarity that I gained. So this is the way that we get in touch with people who know about what's happening and also have good intentions for you. So find a
Yes.
place like that, get in touch with them, go out, do things. That's all I have to share on this call today. I would like to know more about who Dean is, how he was having a good life in engineering, but then later on realized what he wanted in his life, and how did he transition himself into who he is today. And maybe we do this in the next call. Dean, what do you say?
I think that's a great one to move on to for our next call, and then yeah, let's talk about that in the next call, because I think I've had a probably a pretty unique journey. I think people that are in the digital marketing space probably didn't follow a similar path to me. So let's chat about that next time. Abhi, thank you very much for your time as well. I appreciate you saying that for me just before. I've had a great time talking to you today, and let's continue this in the next episode, mate.
All right. Thank you. See you, and take care of your health, Dean.
My goodness, excuse me. See you guys next time. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.